We interrupt this advertisement with breaking MOONSTAR news. Sailor Moon Another Story, the series, is casting major roles now.
Meet Sailor Jupiter, voiced by Kasara G.
Want to fight for love and justice? Now's your chance. Submit your auditions today at castingcall.club. Link in the episode description.
Why are we following Molly and Melvin? But I thought Melvin was only interested in computers and inchworms, that kind of stuff. It'll never work. No way.
You're wrong, Luna. Last night, Melvin spent the entire night camped outside Molly's front door. Now that's romantic.
That's silly. Besides, those two have nothing in common.
Hey, why are you so negative all of a sudden?
Because coming here's a total waste of time. We should be tracking the Negaverse, not Molly and Melvin. Get it?
There they are. Come on. Let's go spy on them.
Hello and welcome back to MOONSTAR, a Sailor Moon podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Alex, and this week Chris and I will be covering the 28th episode of Sailor Moon, the 90s version of Sailor Moon, also known as the Deke Dub, and our episode this week is titled Tuxedo Melvin. Just a few reminders before we get into it. There are several Sailor Moon creative projects, as you know, going on at the moment. We've got the Sailor Moon Another Story web series that will be both an audio and visual drama that's casting for roles. We have Project Gaiden Card, which is the set of tutorial videos that are going along with the Sailor Moon collectible card game Unofficial Fan Revival that was begun in the end of 2022, still rolling. Fans' continuation of the card game will be released later this year. Along with these videos, we are casting vocals and animators and all of that for that as well, and all kinds of other things. Just check out the projects on Casting Call Club. There will be links in the description, and submit your auditions today. We need all the help we can get. Also, MOONSTAR will be releasing its very own Moon Pride special in celebration of June being Pride Month. Chris, Alex, and special guest Rhett Collects will be discussing LGBT themes and representation in Sailor Moon, why it was so important back then, why it's still so important now, and a lot more. Look for Moon Pride, the MOONSTAR special, coming out later this June. Alright, one other thing. At the end of this week's episode, I bring up a Sailor Moon mystery that I actually need your help with. So make sure you stay tuned to the very, very end, because there are some pictures that are going to be posted a little bit later this week, and I need all of you MOONSTAR Nancy Drews out there to help us get to the bottom of it, because I really want to know what's going on. And I think it's interesting that Sailor Moon has so many odd, discrepancies in its own official merch history. You'll see what I mean. Check out that little mystery at the end. All right, let's get into the episode. Here we go. I'm doing pretty good. My week was up and down. How about you?
It's been fine. Haven't really done anything too exciting. The only thing that is the most interesting so far is this Sunday I'm doing a appearance on I guess it's like a gay lifestyle podcast that a guy that I'm friends with and one of his best friends run, called Queer Insight, and
Oh, cool.
they just talk about everything related to like being gay men in their late. I think they're both like a year older than me, so everything to do about the gay lifestyle as a man, like if you're in your late 20s, early 30s. So that'll be fun.
That'll be interesting, at least for me anyway. I'm in that demographic. So I'll probably be checking that out. I'm sure some of our listeners probably would want to hear that too. Do you know when it's dropping? Is it on Monday?
Well, we're doing it on Sunday night, but they do weekly episodes, so I think they get them up within like 2 or 3 days after recording.
Oh, okay. So we'll look for that next week. That's exciting. And then I think you mentioned also you did an interview, or you have one coming up, right?
Yeah, the next interview I'm doing is on Monday. It'll be my 298th.
We only got 2 more to go.
After that, yeah.
Yeah. And who is this one with?
Her name is Stephanie Sutherland. It's funny because I had reached out to her like 2 years ago, and then she just emailed me back last week, just saying that, oh, like, I'm sorry I didn't see this. This is like my backup Gmail account, and because she's mostly known for playing Jean in Genshin Impact, which was one of the first ever playable characters in the game. Mm-hmm. So she's known for that, and then she's also a main antagonist character in the Fire Emblem mobile game. So that'll just be another, cast member that I can add to both the franchises. Oh, you cut out a little bit.
Oh, I was saying, I feel like those give you a lot of content because they update, like, it seems like a lot, and they add a lot of new characters all the time.
Yeah, the Fire Emblem mobile game has updates, like, once every other week, and then Genshin has one once a month. And Genshin doesn't have new characters with every single update, but, like, 75% of updates have new characters.
Oh, I lost you again. Okay, well, I'm sure it's recording on your end, so I'll just splice that together.
Okay.
For you explaining Genshin. Well, that's exciting. Say the name of the person you're interviewing one more time.
Stephanie Sutherland.
And that'll be out when?
I'll probably get it up the same day on Monday.
Okay. People can look forward to that as well. Something I wanted to touch on a little bit, because I was looking for Sailor Moon news, to share. And I came across an article, and this is the only reason I'm even bringing this up is because I also had, like, there were some comments on our show referencing the same thing going on. And twice in 1 week, I'm like, I guess we should talk about it. But I think I may have mentioned it lightly before, but there's sort of this weird thing going on the internet right now where there's like a push to completely erase this version of Sailor Moon for some reason. And the comment was someone saying, like, Viz is trying to do it, right? And they can't believe it, but fortunately there's shows like ours and other shows and, like, Fighter for Love's Fandub who does the Deke stuff and all that. So there's all of these other options for fans who still like that world, but we're the ones creating it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, of course, that's a great opinion, or that's a great point of view to have on it. Like, they might not want it to continue, but there's plenty of fans who will make content, right? But then the article was, like, going on and on about how, like, and I don't want to make people mad because I am a member of the LGBT community and I am, gender fluid. But this is where I get lost with our community sometimes, because it was like throwing the word cisgender around a lot and making a lot of, like, accusatory, like, statements against and, like, assumptions of the intention of the production. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it was like really going at it in a way that, as a member of that community, I'm like, I don't agree with that, and I don't really want that speaking for me, So the reason I'm bringing it up is I wanted to know what, if anything, have you seen of that nature first?
I haven't. I don't think I've seen anything about people wanting to get rid of the original dub.
I think because you interview a lot of the Viz characters or the Viz voice actors, you might sort of be safe from that.
Yeah.
I think there's something about, like, I don't know, because you remember we got that huge pushback on Twitter too when we did the Terry Hawks interview, and it was over the same issue. And I just find it so odd, this weird move to, like, erase any form of history, because it's like, wait a second. Even if you don't like that happened, if you erase it, then A, you have no proof that it ever happened, and then B, it's gonna happen again.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you need it there as a reference point so you can be like, see what we had to do before because of XYZ. We don't need to do that again. But that doesn't mean that you have to, like, shame what happened before all the time. I don't know. It's very confusing.
Yeah.
But the reason I bring it up is on our content, wherever we post, like if it's a Facebook post, if you're listening to us on YouTube or wherever, you are allowed to reference the Deke dub as much or as little as you want. You are allowed to use whatever form of names you want. And, like, anyone who attacks anyone for a preference of their version of the show is just going to be banned from our socials. Like, I'm just going to have to say that. Because I'm not going to put up with that. And there's plenty of other, like, places on the internet for you to attack people, but it's not going to be, like, part of this show. Do you feel comfortable with that statement?
That's fine.
Okay, because it hasn't really happened on any of our stuff, like, other than that one Twitter thing, but I am seeing, like, you know, these articles come up and people are commenting that it's happening. So if anyone is experiencing that, like, in other places in the Sailor Moon fandom, and you're like, I don't feel like I can, you know, gush over 90s Moon or whatever, you can do it here. It's totally fine. We encourage it. So, yeah, that was one little, like, dip in my week, because I was just like, what a bummer. Like, why do we have to be arguing over this garbage?
Well, I think if new fans are discovering the original dub and are mad about the gay-related censorship, it's really simple. It's like, it's a children's show. Like, back then, they can't have a gay relationship on a children's show. It's like, are you guys fucking crazy? It's like, it's that easy to understand.
It is, but there are some people who I think live in a bubble that it's a little more progressive in their area, and then they kind of lose touch with the, like, realities that a lot of the rest of us who don't live there are dealing with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what you were just referencing, Disney recently took a stance. Basically, they had to decide, are we going to be progressive or not, right? And then they made a hard choice, and they're like, we're going to include LGBT characters now. And because of that, they are getting, like, pushback in a lot of places in this day and age. Just, like people not allowing Disney in the school libraries or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, there's all kinds of things like that happen today. Mm-hmm. So the idea that people are so hard on something that was created in the 90s, and by the way, the fact that they barely tried to hide that Uranus and Neptune were lesbians. It was literally like, we're cousins, lol. And that's the other thing, is people react to that and they're like, they're not fooling anyone. Girl, they were not trying to. I think this is the best way people might understand it. You know, when you go somewhere in person to have some, like, to get a service done, maybe, like, get your oil changed or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they go through a certain step that's stupid and annoying, like checking a certain document or checking your ID, and they're like, oh, gotta do it. Big Brother's watching. You know what I mean? Because they're on camera and it's for the job and it's, like, a dumb thing you have to do, but it's required. It's like that. Like, they probably didn't want to go erasing all that or whatever, or changing it. They literally just had to. So they did it in a way that was, like, as, I don't know, obvious as possible, I guess. Mm-hmm. In most cases. Zoisite was the only one, I think, that was the most, that changed the most and was the most convincing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, and even, I don't know if I mentioned this before, I probably did, but Barbara Radecki, who is one of the original cast members I've done, that she was the voice of Michiru, and she said that, like, pretty early on that the director of the dub at that point came in and, you know, had Sarah LaFleur, who played Haruka, and Barbara start recording it as if they were, you know, in a relationship and not just related. So
that chemistry came through.
Yeah.
Go on.
So, and I was just going to say that even behind the scenes, it's like they weren't trying to get rid of it entirely or anything like that. And I don't think a lot of people probably don't know about that.
They probably don't, which is fair. And I have to give some people a little bit of slack on their reactions for lack of information. Because I don't believe in shaming people for being ignorant. You know what I mean? Like, you can't help what you don't know because you don't know what you don't know. Like... It is how it is. But I think if people claim to be huge fans of Sailor Moon, it would behoove them to dig a little before attacking other fans of the show. Mm-hmm. But I think all communities have infighting over something. Yeah. To a degree. It is Pride Month. Happy Pride to you. Mm-hmm. Do you have any Pride plans?
Not anything super specific. There's just, I actually haven't gone to it at all, but Minneapolis has their own big, you know, festival every year. I'm pretty sure this year it's towards the end of the month. It's like the second to last weekend or the last weekend of June. I'm sure I'll go to that just because I haven't gone to any Pride stuff since I've lived here, I'm sure there'll be other shows, just normal shows that I'm going to before this month ends, too.
Yeah. Well, if you do, let us know how it goes. Yeah. I'm going to sit this one out because of my location.
Right.
And because of the heat, also. I think both of those are fair reasons. But I will probably do other things to celebrate. We are going to celebrate here. We're going to do a Moon Pride special, which actually focuses in more detail on the LGBTQ representation within Sailor Moon, both in the 90s and today, and the importance of that and all of that. And we're going to have a guest for that episode as well. Do you want to tell us a little bit about him now? We can do a little intro for him, I guess.
Yeah. His name is Rhett Davis. He goes by Meister Rhett on Instagram, and he's my age. He's a Sailor Moon toy collector and a Proplica collector. He has a bunch of dolls from, like, vintage dolls and the newer release Japanese dolls, and he also has the newer and old Bandai Proplica wands and compacts that they put out. He collects other media involving Sailor Moon.
Well, that's awesome. And can you spell his Instagram thing?
Yeah, let me just make sure I'm getting it right off the top of my head. Yep, so his Instagram is Rhett Collects, so it's just the name Rhett and then the word collects.
Okay.
All in one, yeah.
Yeah, and I was looking through it, and his collection is impressive, and he photographs it really well and everything, and it's presented very nicely. So if you guys want to check that out early, head on over to his Instagram now. You can, check out his collection. And we're hoping to drop that episode on June 30th. So also to celebrate Serena's birthday, or Usagi. And yeah, I'm excited for that. We might have a double feature. Some other specials are coming up for the summer as well. And let's see. I think that's it for the intro. Do you want to just jump in?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
Today on Sailor Moon, an amusement park packs in a whole lot more wallop than the price of a ticket. It's a full-on battle between the Sailor Scouts and the minions of the Negaverse, fighting for control of all the rainbow crystals. Who wins? Stick around and find out. We'll be right back.
What is this week's episode title in Japanese?
Umino's Resolve, I'll Protect Naru.
That's cute, actually. It's just Tuxedo Melvin in English. I like both this week. Tuxedo Melvin fits the Deke vibe more, so it makes more sense. And how do we open this episode?
It's Luna in the arcade late at night, relaying information to one of the computer screens, and then whoever's on the other side tells her that the fifth guardian will appear very soon.
Yeah, is that all he's talking about there?
And then I guess the other thing is just that it's just time for Luna to tell them that there's still one more person that is going to be joining them.
Okay, so this is more focused on Venus. It was about recapping who has which crystals and kind of basically being like, get it together. We've got to get those crystals back.
Central Control, come in, please. Central Control, come in. This is Luna checking in. New password. The meatball-headed scout will always play while the cat's away.
Voice check complete. Now give paw ID.
Cut the red tape. Just tell me what you've got.
The fifth sailor will soon appear.
Oh, right. That's really good news. We could use some more help. Have you got a picture so I can find her?
No, she'll find you. Now about Serena.
Hey, she's not easy, guys.
Well, try harder. The Negaverse has 4 crystals. We have only 1.
Don't forget Tuxedo Mask has 2.
But you can't count on him. You're going to have to get Serena to take this sailor business seriously. We've got to get those crystals back.
Time for an emergency meeting.
And then Luna calls an emergency scouts meeting because of this. So we see them meeting up late at night. And that, I think the main reason they did this was an opportunity for different clothes. Can you just, because they're not in their school uniforms, right? Can you describe their outfits?
Yeah, well, I think Rei is in the normal shrine outfit, isn't she?
She is, yeah.
Yeah.
But the other girls.
Yeah, they're all just, Usagi, Makoto, and Ami are just in, like, I don't know, nice, stylish, casual, like, fall clothes.
Yeah, I'm going to post screenshots of it, but the one that stood out to me was Serena because she has this, like, oversized sweater that comes down over the shoulders, and then under it, you can see it looks like what I think is a tank top or whatever.
Yeah.
And that look, to me, for some reason, I've always loved that look, and it's a look that, you know, growing up as a boy, I was like, I want to wear that, but you can't. So, I just enjoyed that one because it looks very comfy. And, yeah, Amy's was more like, you know, traditional up to the neck. There was like a little bow thing. She looked like, you know, ready to go out. And then Lita had a green something cute. I can't really remember what it looks like exactly. But I think that's why they probably set it at this time. Also, they like to get moon shots from the sky because, you know. What is the... Luna just goes, Central has a message for you, Serena. Do you remember? What was it in the Japanese?
Oh yeah, that it's about that there is a kingdom on the moon, and that Luna came from the moon, and that one of their other main goals is to find the princess from the moon, and the 3 girls besides Usagi take it seriously, and then the last thing that Usagi says when the scene is over is like talking about, because in the Japanese there's this secret code riddle thing that Luna has to say before she can talk to whoever's relaying her information. And it's something like rice cakes, bunny on the moon or whatever, and then Usagi is like, oh, is that really true about how like you can get rice cakes that are like specific to the moon kingdom up there? And then everyone's like, oh, were you not listening to anything that we were just talking about? And then yeah,
that's cute. The Deke was nothing like that at all.
Okay,
not even a little.
Think
so. Actually, I think they were like, that's too much plot. These kids are gonna get lost. So here's what we're doing. We're gonna recap what we just recapped again. Talk about the rainbow crystals. Why don't they have more of them? Amy's smart. She's got a computer. She's going to make a computer program to help them, but she hasn't figured it out yet. That's why we don't see it. And then also they randomly throw in the 5th Scout conversation here. Just Lita being like, I hope she shows up soon. And it just came out of no. I'm like, when did you learn about her? Like, I might have missed it this time taking notes. Like, maybe. But I started typing them so I'd be faster so I wouldn't miss stuff. So I don't think so. And I just thought that was sort of funny, the way that they convoluted that conversation together.
As luck would have it, Alex did, indeed, miss some details whilst taking his notes. Better luck next time, Alex. Let's take a listen.
Oh, why can't we have emergency meetings during school? Luna's got no respect for sleep.
Evening, girls. Central has a message for you, Serena. Get your act together!
Oh, give me a break.
Now listen up. Central Control's discovered another sailor.
So what else did Central tell you?
We need those other crystals.
Could your microcomputer home in on them?
Well, I've tried to make a program for that, but it didn't work.
Amy, don't worry. You'll figure it out. In the meantime, you guys have got to stick together and be on total alert, understand?
You don't need to tell me.
Don't start up again, Ray.
I wonder what the 5th Scout is like. I sure hope she'll be able to help us out.
Well, don't count on her showing up anytime soon. It's still up to you four to stop the Negaverse.
But also, had you not told me what happened in the Japanese, I actually wouldn't have clocked that they changed it, because it did kind of make sense to the plot.
Yeah.
And also the message for Serena was just Luna screaming, "Get your act together," in her face, which I thought was funny.
Did they also leave in the there's a shot that it's really brief, but it's a large pan shot that shows all of the girls reacting to what Luna is saying at first, and then it goes up to the moon.
I think so. I would have to go back and double check, though.
Yeah.
But I did notice, though, and actually, like, as you said that, we go right into one of the scenes that I was going to reference this for, but I really liked the animation in this one. And the first time I noticed it was when they did that transition to the Negaverse, and it kind of, like, starts with these evil flower things. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And then you get the shot of them, like, holding the rainbow crystals on that little platter that's, like, a pillow platter that I love. For some reason, they do this in the Rainbow Bright movie, too. In animation, I love, like, a jewel or a crystal on a pillow. Like,
yeah.
do you know what I mean? Like, there's something about that aesthetic that is just so pleasing. And in real life, like, I couldn't care less. But in anime, it's nice. Did you notice that at all, the animation?
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's...
Who is it?
Yeah, this episode is another one that's done by my second favorite artist behind Ikuko Ito. It's another episode that Hisashi Kagawa did, who, again, to go over, he did, in season 1, he did Makoto's debut, he did the Addams Family haunted beach episode, he did the art for Moon Healing Escalation and Supreme Thunder.
The first one that I clocked was the Haunted Mansion one, because
Okay.
there was like a moment in this where I was like, oh, that reminds me of that episode. Yeah. And it's because it was him.
And he did
Okay.
I think it was entirely him that he was in charge of the S movie.
Wow. Really?
I'm pretty sure it's entirely in his art style, yeah. And then the last episode that he did of the series overall was Makoto's Dream Mirror episode.
The S movie looks like Ito to me.
It's not.
But I guess not.
She didn't do any work on
I'm seeing it now.
Second and third movies.
You know why? Rini's face is way rounder. I know she's also younger, but
yeah.
There's just little things like that. I think he has more of a roundness to them. And then Ito was a little more angular.
Right.
With the characters. That's kind of one of her aesthetics. Huh. But this one has a lot of great moments, though. Like, with animation. That's the first one I picked up on. What is happening here with Zoisite and Kunzite?
They're just going over that it would be better for a multitude of reasons, and it would look a lot prettier if they had all the 7 crystals. And then Zoisite says that he'll rectify it, and Kunzite says that he wants to see Beryl be happy when, or Beryl's reaction to when the silver crystal appears.
Yeah, it's close enough to what they did in the Deke one. They probably just changed some of the wording a little bit. I don't know. I liked this little moment with them. I like seeing... Like, this is something to me that was kind of unique about this season, where it was like both sides had a collection mission at the same time, kind of, in a way that, like, we see this. How do I word this? These scenes between Zoisite and Kunzite feel like the only time we see anything similar to the scout meetings. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like villains, like, not killing each other.
Right.
And actually helping each other. I don't know. There's something unique about their relationship. And I think it's really starting to stand out here.
Look at them, Zoisite. They're beautiful.
But we still need 3.
That's true, but I absolutely have no doubt you'll be able to get them back from our enemies in time. I believe in you.
Then the Negaforce will be free. And the universe will be ours, all ours, Malachite.
Don't get ahead of yourself. We still need to figure out how to transform these crystals into the Imperium Silver Crystal. We're still a long way from freeing the Negaverse, and a long way from pleasing Queen Beryl.
We must please the Queen.
I just really enjoy that aspect of it. We cut from here to Melvin and Molly eating lunch together with Serena behind them. And what is going on here?
Umino says that he'll give Naru a piece of his tempura shrimp, and then she gives him a piece of green pepper in trade for it, and then he says, oh, you can just have it. And then...
Is that it?
No. And then Usagi comes up behind them from the bench and says that, like, oh, it's just like you're in a relationship, and then Umino gets all flustered, and Naru says, oh, no, like, we're not. And then he just gets sad and walks away.
No. It's cuter in the English one because it's actually more the angle of, like, Molly's trying to drop hints that she likes him and he's just kind of not getting it or something.
Oh, huh.
And she says, like, something about that or something, and then they call him a dweebmeister again, and they don't want to make him explode or something. Like, I don't know. And then Serena decides to help, though.
Yeah.
How does she help?
When they're just sitting in their classroom, when not that many people are around, she tells them that she should be like Tuxedo Mask, and then he doesn't really immediately know who that is until she says so. And then later, after school, when Naru and Usagi are walking home, there's this heavy-set woman with a poodle that is walking by, and the poodle starts yapping aggressively at them, and then Umino shows up in that cosplay and says that he's going to get rid of the dog, and then the woman takes out this, like, toy mallet and, like, knocks him on the head, and then that's the scene.
I actually can't remember if she hits him with the mallet or not in the English one, but I remember the rest of it. They might have taken that out because of violence. But, yeah, and they call the dog Fifi in the English one, which kind of makes this scene funnier. And then the, like, and I don't know what to call her. I almost called her an NPC, but, like, you know, the lady with the dog, whatever, side character. She has, like, some funny moments here, like, because the dog's name is Fifi.
Huh? Fifi, come. You don't know these girls. Fifi! Stop yelling! You're scaring my Fifi!
Come off your crazed canine! I am Tuxedo Melvin, defender of helpless babesters and...
You wacko kid!
Ow!
Come, Fifi, Mommy will buy you an ice cream.
So I think they played with that a little to make it more comedic. But poor Melvin getting beat up for the first time here. It's not the last time this episode, though. Why do you think Melvin is acting like this, though?
just because he likes Naru that much, and he wants her to notice him in that same context.
Yeah, and I think this is a great example of him sort of being, or why I read him as like a neurodivergent character, because if you, in the English one at least, Serena basically just helps him by describing romance, and the way she describes romance is just tuxedo mask aesthetically. And then, like, Umino or Melvin takes that literally, and then just is like, okay, I'll be him. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's kind of not everyone, but there is this sort of literal way of taking things that people, like, you know, sometimes do. And I thought that was a cute moment of that, like a cute example of that, where it's like, oh, that's not really what she meant. But also very sweet. Like, you know, I don't know. It's a little cute detail of his character that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
So first he quote saves them from Fifi the dog. Who is the next, or what is the next thing he tries to save them from?
It's not really that same thing, but it's just when they're walking by the arcade, and then they're about to go in, and then he says that, oh, you shouldn't go in and you should study instead, because you're going to just spend all your time and money here. But then he's like, but if you are going to go in, then you can walk over me. And then he gets down on the floor, and then they walk over him.
I'm glad they changed that, because that makes me uncomfortable. No, so he shows up, and he's like, I'm going to protect you from wasting money.
Hey, want to play a few games?
Cool.
Do not venture into this den of dangers, ladies. You just waste your time and your money. I cannot let you pass. If you want to go through that door, it'll be over my prone body.
If you insist.
And they say chivalry is dead. Ha!
I think I liked it better when he was just shy. Come on.
Give him a chance.
Which I thought was cute. And then he tries to stop them by being like, it'll be over my dead body. And then that's why he's like laying on the ground. And then they step on him, and it's supposed to be like funny. Like, oh haha. They were like, fine, whatever, Melvin. Like, you weirdo. Which, it's still not the nicest thing, but like him laying down and being like, you can walk on me, it just like makes my stomach turn a little.
Yeah, it's like a fetish thing.
Is that? I guess you're right. You know what? If that's why you're doing it, feel free, knock yourself out. But for the character of Melvin, it just made me a little sad.
Yeah.
In that moment. Mostly because he didn't have to do all that. Molly already likes him. Or at least in the Deke.
Was it? And the thing that it reminds me of is if you went to conventions too, you would see this. There's always at least 2 or 3 maybe really attractive women cosplayers that are dressed as whatever anime character, and they're holding up signs that say, if you give me a few dollars, then I'll step on you, and you can like take a picture of me stepping on you.
Hey, I mean, get your coin. Do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Inflation is crazy. My salary hasn't changed in 11 years. Anyway. Sorry. No, that's so funny to me. I'm not shocked, though, at all.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that happens at conventions. That's kind of, like, tame, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, we don't need to expose them. Keep on keeping on at the conventions, you guys. Enjoy yourselves. This arcade scene happens, and we see this moment between Andrew and Serena, and Andrew gives them tickets. What are these tickets for?
Want to go see the Wacky World Wrestlers?
Really? Of course. Oh, Andrew wants to take me out. Oh, he sure got over his girlfriend fast. Oh, this is wicked cool.
Here you are. I'm glad they won't go to waste. I can't make it.
You're not going?
Rita's supposed to be calling me from Africa that afternoon.
Huh? Well, I don't want him.
Huh? What gives, girl?
Hey, I'm brilliant. You're taking Melvin.
Someone call me? Better than 911.
Must have been dropped on his head as a child.
Oh, come on, Molly. Go ahead and ask him to go. Look, he did save your life. I'm sure he can act normal in public. Okay. Melvin, I've got tickets to the Wacky Wrestlers. Want to go with me?
Yes!
Oh.
Maybe. I'll even challenge them to take on Tuxedo Melvin!
Oh, no.
It's for, it's called Red Man in the Japanese, which is kind of like, I mean, I know that this predates Power Rangers, but that's basically what it is. It's like this superhero action, fighting show it's for children, really, at a local amusement park.
Is it a reference to a real thing, or is it just kind of like similar to that?
Well, it's not referencing any like specific thing, but for a really long time in Japan, shows like that, like not just anime, but live action, whatever, superhero shows have been a thing, and like in Japan's specific way. They're not anything like American superhero stuff. That's just what it's referencing.
Okay, I gotcha. Yeah, the show, they call it the Wacky World Wrestlers in this one, because of course they do. I think they could have left that one the same, but whatever. They were going for a joke, I think, with the title. And what does Serena think is going on here before she realizes that he's giving her both tickets?
Oh, well, she thinks that Motoki is finally asking her out, but then she just suggests that Umino and Naru go together.
Yeah, and in the English, they added in that he's giving up the tickets because Rita can't go, which is another example of them kind of continuing these like storylines off screen a little bit to remind the audience, like, hey, he has a girlfriend. She's a lady. You met her. She was Monster. But and I kind of like that they do that, actually, because they do it again later too with someone else. And I think if they didn't, like, I think because they do, it makes the person feel less like a one episode character.
Yeah.
I don't know. It gives them a little more life. And then we go to Zoisite doing something here with a really cool looking cauldron. What's going on?
He's modifying the black crystal so it can transform random people into monsters.
Another crystal will soon be ours. I'm going to get that crystal the Sailor Scouts have. And Nephlite's old friend Molly's going to help me. You'll be so proud, Malachite. And we'll finally be one step closer to making all our dreams come true.
I don't know if they actually explained that that's what it was doing in the English one. I want to say that they made it seem like it was supposed to be able to find just where the crystals were or something, like, versus, I don't know, but I think they might have changed that a little bit, even though it still does the same thing. I think they changed the explanation. But after this moment there, which this was another one of those animation moments that I was like, oh, this is really cool. I loved how they did this. Where does Zoisite decide to go first?
He goes to Naru's apartment with the intention of turning her into a monster right then and there. And then he notices that he doesn't realize that it's not actually Mamoru, but he sees Umino dressed up in the cosplay still, and then to himself he just says, oh, well, out of respect for him, then I'm not going to cause a scene here. I'll just try again the next day. And then so he leaves, and then Umino gets really scared after Zoisite leaves, and he doesn't realize what that was. And then when he falls over, then Naru hears him and then comes out of the apartment and asks, like, what the hell are you doing?
And it was funny because I love that him being there, well, depending on how you want to spin it, if you want to say so, I guess it could be creepy, but he was essentially like a deterrent just by the appearance of something that wasn't really there. Does that make sense? It's like when people put up signs on their house that says cameras, but there's no cameras, or if they do have cameras and they don't work, just the presence of the camera is a deterrent, you know what I mean? That kind of idea. And I thought it was funny because he was essentially like acting like a human Ring doorbell.
Yeah.
Because those videos are all over. But yeah, he was really brave, but I don't blame him for being scared though either. Mm-hmm. Because that in real life, that would be terrifying if someone just showed up in the middle of the night when you were like, I don't know, trying to protect a girl, or I don't know. Don't do what he did though, FYI, please. That's weird. But what do we cut to the next day?
It's at the amusement park, and then Usagi and Luna are heading to the show, and then Luna is asking if Usagi was listening to what their meeting was about the other night, and then she said, yeah, but like my friend's love life is more important right now, and then she just runs away.
Yeah. And they're here because, well, Serena wants to, like, you know, make sure Molly and Melvin work out. And Luna is mostly just, like, frustrated with her at this point, at least in the Deke one, because she's like, we should be looking for the other crystals. I don't know if she references that or not.
Yeah.
But, and then we cut to a moment, I don't know what they used in the Japanese, but when we first see the show, like, that you were talking about, the two guys, like, fighting,
yeah,
they use the Scouts battle theme, like, from what they usually use for real battles.
Show me what you got, Furface!
Hey, Melvin, can we go have lunch if it's not too violent for you?
That's okay, Molly. I packed us a picnic lunch. Mom never lets me eat fast food. She's afraid it's bad for my brain.
Lights out, big guy!
So I thought that was kind of interesting that they took what's usually reserved for the girls.
Yeah.
For something else. Can you describe what... Oh, I guess it's just a merry-go-round. We see Zoisite on a merry-go-round. It looks really cool. And what happens?
He just immediately uses the black crystal to turn Naru into a monster, but then as it's sending the blast that would turn her into a monster, she bends over to pick up her school book suitcase, and then it ends up hitting the red man, like the main actor in the stage show.
Yeah, and he turns into like a big red monster, and he starts attacking the other actor.
Excellent. Now's my chance to snag Molly.
Anyone else dare to take me on?
Cool, they've never done that before. Yeah, I've seen it 20 times.
No more phony stuff. This time we fight for real. What?
Oh, great. I zapped that stupid stuntman instead of that girl Molly.
On your feet, Buzzwing!
What is this monster's, like, attack, by the way, that he uses?
I didn't look up to what it's referencing specifically in Japanese, because every time that happens, he says that it's like this plant ball from this specific, like, lake, which I'm pretty sure is a resort in Japan, like an actual resort. But they're plant spore type things, and they encase anybody they hit, and then they just gradually grow over the person until they're trapped inside and they can't really breathe.
Yeah, it was essentially reusing the tennis ball idea, but with like weed balls.
Yeah.
Which they didn't explain what it was in the English one until way later. So the whole time I was like, is this a meatball? What is this? Like, what is going on? Is it spinach? Like, I don't get it. And then finally later, Zoisite's like, they're weeds. And it's like, oh, thank you. 45 minutes later. But anyway. So yeah, we see this weird attack. I don't like this attack. I think it takes away from the episode. This is the one part of the episode that lost points from me.
Mm-hmm.
But we do see Tuxedo Melvin step into action, and what does he do?
I've got plenty to go around!
Molly, get out of there! Come on! Let's
No
go!
escape from me, girl!
No way! Tuxedo Melvin's gonna stop you!
No, Melvin!
You're gonna be hurting when you get a tasteful of my wrath! These shrimps are spicy! They'll feel real good in your eyes!
Melvin, you'll get hurt!
Ah! It's all over, buddy! Uh-oh!
Melvin!
Tuxedo Melvin! You hear me? You don't know who you're dealing with, bully! Pick on my girl? No way!
Melvin's meatloaf?
He just throws a bunch of tempura shrimp at it, and it doesn't react.
Yeah, he's like, it's a spicy shrimp, and then he throws it like the rose, and of course it doesn't do anything. And then he hits the monster with his backpack, and then I made a note, like, this is one of the reasons why I love his character so much, because he has a very unique brand of, like, misplaced bravery and courage, where he has no chance ever, but he's very fearful too, but he still goes for it. So it's like, it's almost better than him not being scared, you know? And it's like a little thing that I think is endearing about him here. And also I wrote that the monster is like really kicking his ass. Like, he gets really beat up to the point where by the end of it, I was like, okay, now I just feel bad for him. And then we get this well-animated moment with Molly trying to run and help him before then she gets put into, like, a meatball thing. And I was like, oh, that was really pretty, but then it got dumb. You know?
Yeah.
After Melvin finally passes out, and everyone's, like, you know, in the weed things. And this is, by the way, where Zoisite tells us that they're weeds. What happens?
Sailor Moon moves to confront the monster, but then Zoisite intercepts her and says to give him the one rainbow crystal that the scouts have, and then she says that if she doesn't, or he says that if she doesn't, then he'll let everybody who was trapped by the monster's attack suffocate and die, and then she hands over the orange rainbow crystal.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. I don't think she gets as intense with the wording, though. Zoisite doesn't, with, like, suffocate and die in the Deke one. But it's pretty much the same idea, same outcome. Obviously, it's the same show. But then this little moment where Tuxedo and Zoisite kind of face off was pretty cool. It was just very short. But it was animated nicely. And then how does, like, the battle resolve itself?
Well, Tuxedo Mask shows up and knocks the crystal away. And then Usagi tries to grab it, but the monster attacks her, and then Zoisite holds off Tuxedo Mask. And then while that's going on, Usagi uses the moon escalation to save everything. But Zoisite still manages to get the rainbow crystal back.
Yeah. And a point of interest about this battle is that it's a unique moment in this part of Season 1 where we see Sailor Moon fighting without any of the other scouts.
Right.
She still has Tuxedo there and Melvin, I guess, technically to help this time. But she weakens the monster herself with her tiara, like you said, and then heals it. And I think that this is interesting because it shows a unique heightened level of responsibility in her when she's fighting by herself. Her intuition seems a lot stronger, and she was able to do, like, the entire deal of weakening and healing completely on her own. And I thought for her character development as a superhero, that's actually kind of a crucial moment.
Yeah.
Where we see her step into her own a little bit here more. And then after that, with Zoisite ending up taking the crystal and everything, Oh, and then just to throw her some flowers here, Terry Hawks does an especially good job in this episode, I feel like, with her vocal range. And I was thinking about it, and I think it's probably one of the reasons why she's a lot of people's favorites. But it reminded me of a reference that I think some of our listeners will understand. I feel like in the recording booth, she's very Tyra Banks modeling. And if you ever watched America's Next Top Model, which I'm not saying they were good to the girls, by the way, relax. But Tyra did give some good advice about actually modeling on that show sometimes. And one of the things she said was like, the key to like giving a good session or whatever is you do these micro changes for each shot. So you're like not making huge movements, but you're just changing certain details every time. And it gives them like a billion things to choose from. Right. Mm-hmm. And I think Terry probably was the master of that with vocals in the recording booth. She probably just was giving them constantly like, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to do it that way. And I'm going to slightly change it. Because it just is really, I don't know. For some reason in this episode, I was like, okay, I have to throw her some flowers here. I'm really feeling her shine a little. In the Japanese version, I feel like, no shade to the original voice actress, but it's kind of like, it's hard to appreciate the cuteness of it if you're translating subtitles. Does that make sense? Like if you're reading subtitles at the same time.
Yeah.
But anyway, we end up with this adorable scene with Molly and Melvin. And what are they talking about here?
Well, first, one thing that we didn't touch on is when Naru is about to lose consciousness, when she's fully enveloped in one of those plant balls, is she thinks that Mamoru fighting Zoocyte was Umino fighting off Zoocyte. So that I don't know if they showed that in the English or not.
I'm not remembering it, but it might be there. I would have to, but
okay.
I don't remember it right now, no. That's interesting.
But she's just impressed by how hard he fought.
Well, maybe it was there. I don't know why they would cut that out, unless it was like a timing issue or something. Yeah, that's really cute. No, but later we cut to them after the fight is resolved, and they're hanging out and joking, and Molly agrees to go get milkshakes.
Melvin, you were so brave, but are you sure you're okay?
Nothing sharing my favorite milkshake won't cure.
Vanilla and prunes? For you, I can handle it.
You remembered.
With Melvin, and he's like, my favorite? She's like, vanilla and prune. And there it is again, the vanilla and prune milkshakes. So if anyone is keeping tally, let us know in the comments. How many times has it come up by now? I would like to know. So I just thought that was hilarious. I was like, they really, anytime he's on screen, they're like, we've got to do it. Every time. And then we get to see the locket again. And what's going on here with the locket?
Well, before everybody splits away, Usagi thanks Mamoru for helping her, and then he says, well, I don't know why you're thanking me, because if I had gotten the rainbow crystal, I would have just kept it for myself. And then he walks away, and then in the last scene that you're talking about, Luna's trying to talk to her, but then Usagi is just playing the locket and thinking about the uncertainty of her relationship with Tuxedo Mask, and then the episode ends with a animation of him facing his back to her, just walking away.
Yeah, it's pretty similar to that. She kind of, instead of focusing, I guess, on her relationship specifically with him, it's more like, is he on our side or not? Because he's also after the rainbow crystals. It's very like, where does he stand? Was more the vibe there. But I like this moment. I think the locket is always a great time. I like the audio, the whatever version. I think they actually changed it a little in the English, like the Deke one, but it's almost the same. It's like just slightly different.
I feel so stupid. The crystal was right there and I didn't even see it. Sorry for letting you down, Serena.
You're not the one who let me down. Please tell me Tuxedo Mask is still on our side.
The Imperium Silver Crystal will be mine.
So I love whenever we get to hear that. And yeah, that's the end of the episode. And I put here, rate this episode right now, because we always forget. So we better do that. You go first.
I give it a 4.
I give it a 4.5. It lost 0.5 for me from the weird attack from the monster. What's your rating based on?
Yeah, I guess it's that. And then, I don't know. I don't really like Umino that much as a character. But,
fair enough.
The only instance that I do like him, I guess, and I think it's just because of the episode itself, is the love contest episode in the 3rd season.
Right.
But besides that, yeah, it's just those two things for me.
That's fair enough. I enjoy him a lot, so this one probably gets just a 0.5 more because we see him and Molly's relationship starting here. I thought the animation was pretty exceptional, almost all the way throughout. And I loved the character development we got with Serena. I like that they're starting to mention the 5th Scout in this episode. And I kind of loved the mystery that they built behind Sailor Venus before she was introduced. I think they do a great job of building her up to be this, like, who is it going to be? What's she going to be like? We've got us, you know what I mean? And the whole idea where she used to be the leader, which we'll get into later when we meet her. But there's just a lot of cool stuff to unpack with that. And yeah, I would have given it 5 stars if the battle was better, as far as like the monster's attack. But I almost gave it 5 because of Sailor Moon being like so independent later. But I was like, I can't do extra credit. All right. Sailor says,
Boy, Melvin sure surprised everybody today. Who'd have thought he had superhero inside him?
That's why it's important not to judge people by how they look or what they wear, but what you personally know about them. And don't be swayed by some stupid prejudice you've always heard and never really questioned. Everyone is a unique individual.
Right, you never know what's inside. Then again...
This week is about prejudice, which, interesting, that's kind of how we open the show. And it's basically saying, first they kind of throw Melvin some roses, like, who would have thought he had a superhero inside him? And then they use that to say that's why it's important not to judge a book by its cover, basically, is the message of this one. Don't be prejudiced. And I think in the 90s, this is like what the message was. And this is what a lot of millennials grew up on. And more specifically, the message was like, don't see color. If you meet someone of color or of another ethnicity, you're supposed to judge them completely based on your interaction with them. You know what I mean? Like, good or bad. It's not supposed to be like anything else. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like the same way you would anybody else. Like, and there was this huge push for that. You have to remember, this was the time period where we got like, you're probably too young for this, but Crayola did this like the skin tone palette of crayons, where it was just like all of these different shades, and that was a really big deal at the time because up until then it was like, you know how Band-Aids were just like white people colored, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that whole thing was going on, and I think that this Sailor Says kind of highlights the overall message of that time, which was literally like, if I had to sum it up, it felt like, we know we fucked up, but we're trying to make it better.
Yeah.
Here's to hoping the kids are less terrible than we were, pretty much. And we're going to put as much of this messaging in their media as possible when they're young. Like, that's kind of what I get from it.
Right.
I'm going to let you talk on it a little bit. What is your experience like about this subject, I guess? And when you were growing up in the media you saw, what kind of messages did you see?
I never really, I don't know, when I was younger, I never really encountered, detail or very clear representation of like racism and prejudice in media. One of my favorite movies as a kid were the Rush Hour movies, and also I was shown Big Trouble in Little China when I was pretty young too, and the fact too that like one of my aunts is Japanese, and then my cousin is Japanese American. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really experience anything like that until I got into my teenage years.
Because you were born in what year again?
97.
So by the time you were really paying attention to that stuff, it would have been, what do you think, like 2007 almost? Maybe a little earlier?
Yeah.
Yeah, by that point, it was a really different landscape. When I was a kid, I used to watch a lot of PBS, public broadcast television. For people who don't know, it's like the free channel that we had here that anyone could get with bunny ears, which bunny ears are the satellite. It's the metal sticks that go on the old tube TVs that essentially it's like a radio for TV. You guys get it. Google it. Anyway. And on that channel, it was like Reading Rainbow, Bill Nye the Science Guy, The Magic School Bus, Wishbone, if anyone remembers that, which was literally a show about a dog that taught you history about the world. It was like a world history dog show. It was the greatest. And like all of those shows were literally like and then of course, Mr. Rogers. Hello. All of this stuff was so packed with this message of like, you cannot judge people for their race. This is not okay. Like, we have to be equal. Like, and it was an important thing that they did that, you know? It's interesting because today it's like, I don't know if we're in a better place or not. I'm not a person of color, so I couldn't tell you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a question for someone who's lived that experience. But I would like to believe that that messaging had some type of impact, at least, even if it's not been like perfect. You know what I'm saying? Because I definitely took it to heart, and I'm sure a lot of other kids did too. You know, I don't know. And also being a teacher, like, I'm sorry, but most kids are just not prejudiced inherently.
Yeah.
Like, they couldn't care less what their friend's skin looks like, frankly. Like, that stuff is put into kids from, you know, the environment for the most part. But yeah, anyway, it's kind of a very heavy Sailor Says, actually, don't you think?
Yeah, that's nice.
I'm impressed with them for going from, like, remember what it was, we had like a really terrible one not long ago, and then they made a huge pivot here, and they were like, here's a really important thing, everybody. So yeah, that, I don't know, I have to applaud them on that. What do you guys think? Sound off in the comments. Do you like this Sailor Says? Do you think it has a good mess? Well, obviously, I hope you think it has a good message, but do you think it was effective? I don't know. And yeah, let us know what your frame of reference was too, and what kind of messaging you had in your television shows as a kid. Like, from all different age groups, I'd love to hear from someone who grew up on 80s TV, in the 70s, whatever. Because I think if we don't share those stories, it's easy for them to kind of get mixed up or erased, as we were mentioning in the beginning, or whatever. So yeah, that's it for this episode. Is there anything else you want to add about it?
About the episode, yeah, I think that's it.
I really enjoyed this one.
Yep. So, yeah, same.
And this closes out that VHS tape I was telling you about.
Yeah.
So this was just a set of 4 really strong episodes. Yeah, it's weird because we're a week ahead, so I'm gonna go edit the cat one and then like be thinking about this all week. But yeah, we're getting into like the meaty part of the season too. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Where there's like a lot of plot going on, so I'm excited for this. That's it for this episode. Do you want to let anybody know, other than the interviews you have coming up, is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, not. Yeah, I mean, I still don't know who my 300th person will be, but
put it out into the universe if you could pick a dream interview for your 300th.
Well, something that would be like realistic, maybe. I don't know. Well, I guess... I think, yeah, because, I mean, they already agreed. One pretty big VA named Greg Ayers, who... he's gay as well, actually. He might be my 300th. It depends on timing. But we talked recently, and he's a Texas voice actor, but he's known for one of the twins in Oron Host Club and DN Angel.
I've heard of that.
Well, yeah, Dead Man Wonderland. Evangelion. A lot of stuff.
You said DN Angel, and I just had like a sense memory flashback to standing in Suncoast at the mall and like browsing through all of the VHSs, and that was one where like I remember the box art always caught my attention, and I always thought about getting it. And then I think eventually I maybe got one, and then I tried to watch it, and I was like, this is very confusing.
Yeah.
But I just really remember DN Angel being like a big thing at the same time as Sailor Moon for like a short burst.
Yeah, because I guess it would have been around the same time that the later seasons of Sailor Moon were prevalent in the U.S. So.
Yeah. Also, before I forget, we have a mystery to solve. So we're going to be Scooby-Doo about this and involve the fans. But I am going to post some photos. I thought I had lost the incredibly rare holographic poster that I got from Suncoast way back in the 90s. Because it had gotten messed up over the years and, like, you know, some tears in the corners or whatever. And then I thought in a move it just disappeared. And I went on this, like, hunt to replace it recently. And actually was able to find one. And I got it. And it was, like, it came and it looked so beautiful and it was so perfect and whatever. And I put it in the frame and I put it on my wall. And then I was cleaning my garage to do that garage sale I told you about. And I found the poster. The original poster. Here's the mystery. The poster that I got is not identical, but is very similar to the one from the 90s. And all of the photos that I can find on the internet reference the way that the poster I got recently looks, not the way that the one that I actually purchased in the 90s looks from Suncoast. This is where I'm confused. Is there someone doing incredibly high quality reprints of this poster and only like posting it once every 8 years? Like, is it that there were two versions of the poster? I don't know what it is. Did I used to live in a different dimension and then we swapped? I'm just saying, you know, the Mandela effect or whatever. Maybe this is proof of that. I'm mostly joking about that. But anyway, but it's really fucking weird because it's like, the holographic pattern is different. And then the way I figured out was that the colors on my old one are brighter. And then the placement of the Sailor Moon logo is on the different side of her foot. And everything else is like the same. And I saw like notable Sailor Moon collectors posting what I think is a reprint. Because I know where I got my original. You know, I walked into the store and fucking bought it. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like that, and then the weird Sailor Moon VHS cover that was released on 9/11 that mysteriously changed. You know what I'm saying? That's like... Anyway, there's some weird mysteries going on with the history of Sailor Moon merch that I hope we can come to the bottom of by the conclusion of this show. So I'm going to post pictures on socials of that stuff. Guys, take a look at it and let me know what you think. And I'm going to make them... Like, I'm going to show as much of these details that I'm talking about as possible. So maybe we'll find an answer.
Okay.
But yeah. Do you have any mysteries like that in any of your fandoms, other ones?
Probably. I just can't think of anything like that right now.
The 9/11 VHS one is the most bizarre to me.
Yeah.
And then the other one where it was like on Amazon they had like reversed the cover art but had the correct cover title on the images for 2 of the Super S volumes, and it's still like that today. And then when you buy it, it's like you get the different cover. It's so weird, and I'm just like, why is it like that? And who made that mistake, and how did it happen? Because it's not correct. I don't know. Anyway,
yeah,
we have to end the show. So that's it for this week. I will see you next Friday, right? We're not doing anything between.
Yep.
Yeah, because it's... Wait. Oh, next Friday we're recording the special, aren't we?
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta get ready for that. All right, if you don't get an outline from me... That's it for this week's episode of Moonstar, a Sailor Moon podcast. Well, not a 5-star. Tuxedo Melvin is still one of our favorite episodes. Absolutely love it. It's so much fun. How do you guys feel about this episode? What about the character of Melvin, or Umino in general? You know, Chris and I have different feelings on him. Sound off in the comments. You know what to do, right? Also, what do you guys think of Melvin and Molly's relationship? Personally, I think most people think it's adorable, but who knows? Maybe there's someone out there that's like, yeah, not for me. And if you exist, I want to hear from you. Like what you heard today? Let us know in a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. It's the best way you can support any show. If you're not sure how, it's actually pretty easy. Just go to the show, our show, Moonstar, in your favorite podcast app. The most popular one, if you know what I mean, is the easiest. And scroll down, I believe, on any episode to where it says ratings and reviews, and you can hit that 5 stars. You don't even have to write a review now to rate the show. You can just give us 5 stars if you don't have time to leave, you know, a couple sentences or whatever. That's fine. Some final reminders. All those interested in participating in any of the creative projects, please check out the links in today's episode description and submit your auditions for voice acting roles, artists, animators, game developers, web designers, you name it, we're looking for you. Anyone who can help us create more Sailor Moon content to share with you, we want to hear from you. Check us out on Casting Call Club. That's where you're going to find those projects. Moonstar is sponsored in part by Sailor Moon Video. Shop authentic collectible 90s Sailor Moon VHS and DVD today at www.sailormoonvideo.com. Use offer code MOONSTAR for 15% off your purchase. Follow Sailor Moon Video on YouTube today. How many moon stars would you give Tuxedo Melvin? Make sure you also let us know. I want you guys, whoever cares enough, to start rating these episodes in the comments along with us, because you get the 2 of our ratings, right? So you get our 2 opinions. We're usually pretty close, but if I want to, the more we hear from you, the better. So give us some of that as well. And here are the plugs. For more of Chris, you can find him on Instagram and YouTube at Chris Mayek, ChrisMayek. For more of me, Alex, you can find me on Instagram at Alex Summers SFE. The SFE at the end of my name, someone asked recently. When I first started the show, we had sort of a side website kind of similar to the Sailor Moon video stuff going on now. And that was called Sunshine Farm Entertainment way back in the beginning. So that's where the SFE comes from. And we just haven't been able to drop it yet on Instagram because Instagram is weird. So yeah, Alex Summers SFE. Don't forget to follow Moonstar's Facebook page for all the most up-to-date content. We post the most often there. And of course, check out the website, moonstarpod.com, for free bonus content. And that's it. I'll see you next week. Moonstar, a Sailor Moon podcast, is intended for informational, educational, and entertainment purposes only. We do not claim any ownership over the music, audio clips, and sound effects used during the creation of this show. All licensed and copyright materials belong expressly to the license and copyright holders.
muscle-brained mutant. Nobody but nobody messes with my friends unless they want to become so much moondust.
Out of the way!
Hi-ya! Oh. Those weeds are no match for moon power, Negacrum. I am Sailor Moon! Champion of justice! I will right wrongs and triumph over evil, and that means you.
Don't you mean me, Sailor Moon?
Zoisite!
I was hoping you'd come. I need to ask a small favor from you, Sailor Moon.
Yeah? Like what? Oh,
I need you to hand over that rainbow crystal you have.
I'm not giving you anything.
In that case, you'd better say goodbye to all these guys, Molly too. Unless you give me that crystal, those weeds will just keep on growing.
Oh, me! I can hardly breathe! Set them free.
First, you hand over that rainbow crystal. Then I'll let them go. Come on, I don't have all day, you know. Now! Come on, hand it over.
All right.
Excellent. You've done the right thing. Excellent. You've done the right thing. Ah! Tuxedo Mask!
You're just in time.
You're not going to get away with that crystal, Zoisite!
Somebody get me out of here! Help!
I've got to do something.
Moon Tiara!
Magic! So much for the red menace.
Moon healing! Activation!
All right, Sailor Moon. Not bad at all.
Oh, the crystal!
Oh, no!
Zoisite's got it!
You fools are so easily tricked, it's pathetic.
Give it back! That was mine!
Too late!
She's getting away!
No!